And going over to the business blunder of the day, you have the Tesla Cybertruck hitch failing in test. It is not looking good for the 18 folks who actually want to tow with the Tesla Cybertruck, which, again, it's an EV. It's not going to be able to tow great. Batteries are going to die nearly immediately, relatively speaking. So yeah, for towing, EVs are especially trash. Now, the only situation I can think of being better is if you're hauling something that weighs nothing, like Frito-Lay hauling chips. That might make sense. Now, this comes to us thanks to Inside EV, which is especially appropriately named since the picture shows you the inside of the Tesla because it broke open. Now, specifically, this article is credited to Julian, who's the writer over there, which she says, quote, Tesla Cybertruck tow hitch stress test results in catastrophic failure. He says, quote, if I see a Cybertruck towing on the freeway, I do not want to be anywhere close to that thing. And here you can see what remains of the rear end of a Cybertruck. And, jeez. Yeah, it looks like the rear entire, well, hitch and bumper just completely popped off. The metal part of the car is still there, or, the stainless steel part. But yeah, the entire bottom of the rear truck just gone and on the ground, which, yeah, not great if you want to put some weight on that. Now, he says, quote, you may remember last year's Jackass-style whistling diesel video where he puts a Tesla Cybertruck and Ford F-150 through a bunch of grueling stress tests. The main takeaway of the video was that the Cybertruck's tow hitch, together with a consistent chunk of cast aluminum frame, was ripped apart, raising questions about the electric truck's capability to tow the rated 11,000 pounds safely. Meanwhile, the gas-powered F-150 with a steel frame still had its tow hitch in place at the end of it all. Some pointed out that the rear of the frame might be broken when the tow hitch was hit with a big block of concrete and then sheared off after towing. The problem is that there's no way of knowing for sure, but there is now. Another YouTuber, Zach Nelson of Jerry Rig Everything fame, interesting profile name, put his own Cybertruck through a slightly more scientific test to see how the hitch fares in extreme conditions. They say, to quickly recap, the Tesla's electric pickup is rated up to 11,000 pounds, or for you funny foreigners, 4,990 kilograms, which, is that how you weigh? It sounds like a cereal. It's America. We use pounds, obviously. Not the money, the weight, but nevertheless. They say, quote, meanwhile, the maximum tongue weight, that's how much mass sits directly above the tow hitch, is capped at 1,100 pounds. Or again, for my international viewers, 499 kilograms. The tow hitch is attached to the cast aluminum frame. So what's the difference this time? Nelson used a heavy construction equipment to push down the Cybertruck's tow hitch. A crane scale was used to quantify how much weight was put on tow hitch. At 10,000 pounds, or 4,525 kilograms, pushing down on the hitch, some creaking noises could be heard. Then at 10,400 pounds, the whole rear section of the subframe ripped off, putting an end to the stress test. Again, this is equivalent of an improperly balanced trailer with a massive amount of weight on the tongue. However, as Nelson points out, there are some situations where even a properly balanced trailer could transfer its whole weight to the tow hitch, such as big potholes at highway speeds. Which, yeah, that's not great. They say, quote, to make matters worse, some questionable building methods were revealed. For starters, the thickness of the cast aluminum frame was very thin, measuring between 3/16 and 1/8 of an inch thick. That's 3 to 4 millimeters, which is the only time we use measurements in America. We're talking about pistol calibers, like a 9mm pistol. Nevertheless, 3 to 4 millimeters thick, which is good for vehicle weight, but not great for long-term strength. Furthermore, some selections seem to be held together with glue and rivets. Whoops. With the whole rear section of the car ripped apart, no fewer than 28 error codes appeared on the central infotainment system, and the EV would not move under its own power. Which, yeah, I guess that makes sense. It's part of the vehicle is just hanging off there on the side. They say by comparison, a 2004 Dodge Ram 2500 with prior damage was subjected to the same test, and its steel frame came out unscathed. The tow hitch was still in place after being subjected to 10,700 pounds, kept pushing it down, which, yeah, one of those things where if you want to buy a good old truck, it's sad to think of this, but now 2004, that's considered vintage. You want to get a vintage Cummins engine, ideally with a stick shift and 3 pedals like every vehicle should have by default. Now, unfortunately, because of supply and demand, and because they last so long and people know the quality, you're still going to spend $30,000 to $60,000 on that type of truck. But that's what you really want for towing. Now, again, in terms of apples to apples, a 2500 is usually a dually and bigger engine and everything. I mean, I would compare this more to the Dodge 1500 if you want to get more apples to apples. Again, I'm sure they share a lot of components and everything. But yeah, again, these are mostly pavement queens. And not a lot of these Cybertrucks are going to be used for anything in terms of actual work or towing. But again, Elon still claimed it's going to be magical, and it's still cool as bullet resistant, and it looks, I don't know, I'm one of those weird people who like how it looks. Granted, I'd have to do, a whole powertrain rip and replace so you can get a 3 pedals in that thing and a gas engine. But I don't know, I kind of think it looks kind of neat. But the fact that it's not meeting the specs that Tesla and Elon, they themselves put out, gotta say, Tesla is certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Again, trying to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, if you do me a favor and leave a comment, additional feedback is always appreciated. Don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.